Hi everyone and good morning from the cruise ship. Today we are on board the Enchantment of the Seas on Royal Caribbean. A cruise ship we have been on once. It was about 10 years ago, so it's fun to be back.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, in this video we're going to show you everything this cruise ship has to offer, from the bars and the drinks to the food and the restaurants, activities, public spaces, and more. Starting off here on the pool deck, and a pretty good sized pool deck, I think.
It is massive.
For a ship of this age, you have two very, very large pools, 4 hot tubs. You've got a splash pad for the kiddos.
I love how it has faces on the splash pad.
It's pretty
really
adorable.
It's really
now
adorable.
It is definitely older. Like if you go on a newer Royal Caribbean ship, you're going to get a much better, splashworks area.
Yes.
But if you're into swimming, there's a lot of that.
The pools don't feel crowded, and that's a problem with cruise ships.
Yes, and with this being a little bit older and a smaller ship, it doesn't carry quite as many people. Now, of course, there are pool bars, which is very important, that run very, very long hours. But one thing I found is kind of a bummer. They have a big Jumbotron, but it is broken.
Yeah.
It has not worked all sailing long, so we haven't gotten any fun like movies after dark. And surprisingly, there hasn't been any deck parties either.
They did have a sail away party with a DJ.
Yes.
But they haven't had any nighttime deck parties. That's all been in the Centrum.
Yeah, there has been some music that'll be like live music out here or DJs. There will do some competitions on sea days, like belly flop competition or world's sexiest man, things like that. There we go, that is the pool deck. Let's go check out the rest of the ship. One design feature that's very unique to the Enchantment of the Seas is these big kind of trussed bridges in the middle of the ship. You see what happened a number of years ago, they took the ship and they extended it. So they cut it right down the middle and made it a bigger cruise ship. And as a result, you got
These bridges.
Yes, along with more staterooms, more room for activities, and they built this giant pool bar right in the middle of the ship.
Yeah, I love this Oasis bar.
Yeah, you get some really great views with the big windows. Right behind this big Oasis bar as well, you have a cornhole set up, and probably the trippiest spot on the entire ship. They have portholes that look straight down to the ocean 9 decks below. That's pretty trippy. But I love that they have this. The pool bars always get crowded, and having one of this size really, really helps. All the way at one end of the pool deck, that's where you have the bandstand where the band will play, mostly in the afternoons, and it's like a Caribbean band. One thing I'm not a big fan of here on the Enchantment of the Seas, you do have to rent out your towels. So you have to go to the towel guy here, give him your room card, rent the towels, and you have to return them or else you get charged. But things that are fun, they have some wacky towel animal creatures out here. Look at that. One of my favorite parts of the ship is found on the Lido deck. This is the adults only solarium. On our sailing, there has been a lot of kids. A lot of kids.
There's over 400.
Which is a lot. And there are no kids in here, and it is wonderful. There's 2 hot tubs as well as a pool.
The hot tubs are really, really hot, and the pool is really deep.
Yes, the pool is about 5 foot 6 inches, so it's okay for me. It's a little too deep for you.
Yeah, it's my height, so there's no way for me not being my hair on.
And you can see how we are at sea, so the pool is kind of doing a little bit of a wave pool thing. But I do like the solarium area. With it being adults only, no surprise you will find a solarium bar as well. And really, really nice padded loungers. It's a great place to take a nap as well.
Yeah.
Right now at the Solarium Bistro for lunch, they've got the carved roast beef sandwich. It's actually one of my favorite places on the ship to get lunch. They're absolutely delicious. You load it up with some au jus. It's also where you get pizza on the ship. Today is Pizza Primavera, is the specialty pizza of the day. There's always a cheese and a pepperoni. This place is open for breakfast, lunch, and late night, and this is where you get the late night pizza. On deck 4, you have the main atrium area known as the Centrum, and this is kind of a hub of activities on the ship. There'll be different games and presentations during the day, and some interesting stuff that I haven't seen before. Like one day they did remote control car racing.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Today they're doing an egg drop competition where you have to make some sort of parachute contraption to drop an egg like 4 floors without cracking it.
I am so invested in this.
Yeah, there's been a lot of music in the evenings. The party band plays out here, sometimes the Caribbean band. There's been parties a lot of nights.
Yes, since they don't have deck parties, they've been having them in the Centrum.
Yeah, so there's like the 70s party was in here. The silent disco, which was fantastic. One of the best ones I've ever been to was in here. A big welcome aboard party with the balloon drop, that was in here. And of course you can't have an atrium on a cruise ship without an atrium bar. And that runs pretty long hours.
It does.
Had some good drinks in here. So lots of stuff always going on in this area of the ship. In the very back of deck 6, you get the Spotlight Lounge, which is one of the biggest lounges on the entire ship. And I do like it because it's in the back, so you get some really cool like floor-to-ceiling windows. And this is used mostly in the evening for 2 different things. Karaoke And they do like some weird karaoke stuff. Like yesterday they did something called kamikaze karaoke, where you just sign up to sing, and then you walk up there and the host picks your song for you.
Yeah, it was odd.
Yep. There's family karaoke, there's adult karaoke. They also do game shows over here, both family and adult. And I've enjoyed this lounge quite a bit.
They've done some trivia in here as well.
Located on deck 5, you have another bar. This one's called Boleros. And in the evening, this is the big Latin dance band plays in here. So a lot of people dance and enjoy the music. During the afternoons, they will do some trivias and other things. Like one day they were doing like a flash mob rehearsal. I like it because it does have a specialty drink menu and some really good drinks. Like I'm drinking the Arapo, which is a cocktail made with coconut water. And Molly's got the coconut mojito. Located on deck 6, just off the atrium, you do have the Schooner Bar, a nice sized bar. Now this is used mainly during the day for like trivias. And then in the evening it becomes the piano bar. I believe the piano bar on our sailing is a gentleman named Juanito. And it's very traditional piano music. So not like the fun sing-along party music, more like, you know...
The Piano Man.
Yeah, your Elton John and that your music from like early 1980s and before, more or less. But one thing I do like in here, they do have a specialty drink menu. I am drinking the rum old fashioned, and Molly is drinking the Southern Belle. Now yours is interesting because it is like bourbon, mint leaves, and blueberry puree. It's very tasty. I have a lot of drinks in here. Bartenders have been really good. Right now we are all the way at the top of the ship on deck 11 at the Viking Crown Lounge. Now this serves kind of two purposes, I guess 3 purposes. Looks like there's some sort of a specialty meal getting set up in here. And it is their observation lounge, so these windows go almost all the way around the ship. And I think it's one of the more relaxing places on board.
And air conditioning, really good air conditioning up here.
Yes. In the evening, this area does become the ship's nightclub. And I would love to give you a review of the nightclub, but we did not make it any night of the sail.
No, we have not made it. Maybe tonight.
Maybe tonight. But yeah, you get some wonderful, wonderful views up here. Located above the Viking Crown Lounge in that balcony area, that is the Crown Lounge or the Concierge Club. That's the lounge you can get in if you have diamond status. I'm really close. After the sailing, I'll have 2 nights away from diamond status, but until then, this is all we could show you. Just want to throw a little update in there. We did make it to the nightclub on the final night of the cruise, and the best way I would describe it is sad. There was no DJ in there at the moment. There was really no people in there. It was just kind of sad. Hopefully it was better on different nights of the ship, but this was our experience. On decks 5 and 6 in the front of the ship, you will find the Orpheum Theater, which is the main show venue on board the Enchantment of the Seas. Now, during our 4-night sailing, there were 4 different shows, 1 each night. Starting on night 1, where there was a welcome aboard show that featured some singing and dancing, but was mostly a set by the comedian. I thought he was all right. He wasn't my favorite comedian, also not my least favorite comedian I've ever seen on a cruise ship. On night 2 was one of their big production shows, from stage to screen, which was all Broadway-style music. Really not my thing. Molly did enjoy it much more than I did. On night 3 was a guest entertainment act called Impact, which was kind of a Spanish-inspired percussion and singing and dancing. It was my favorite show on board the ship. On night 4 was another big production show with the singers and dancers called Can't Stop the Rock, which is all about the music of the movies. Now, I am not a young guy and I go to my fair share of movies, but I think I only knew like 3 or 4 songs of this whole show. But I will say it did totally redeem itself towards the end because they played the full Men in Black song by Will Smith, and I really liked that segment of the show. Located on deck 9 in the back of the ship is where you'll find the spa on board the Enchantment of the Seas. Now, Molly and I, we were really not spa people, but we did take the tour on day 1 to check things out. And as you would expect, it is a smaller spa, as it is kind of an older cruise ship. They do have a big salon area where you can get your hair cut or your nails done and all that kind of stuff. There's also plenty of rooms inside of the spa area for you to get all of your variety of massages and treatments done. I did like this nice waiting area they had with kind of the big windows in the back of the ship, but that's really all I can tell you about the spa. Now, if you go 1 deck above the spa, that is where you'll find the gym on board, and it is a pretty small gym for a cruise ship. This was filmed around dinner time, so we couldn't get too many people in the shot, but we did go one day on sea day in the morning, and the place was just absolutely rammed. Almost every machine was taken, and hey, I'm proud of myself. I made it to the gym on a cruise ship for the first time in quite some time. Located on decks 4 and 5, just off the main atrium, is My Fair Lady, which is the main dining room on board the Enchantment of the Seas. It is currently night 3 of our voyage. I believe it's Mexican night. We're going to show you what our dinner experience is like. We have sat down at our table, and man, they pack a ton of tables into this restaurant. You're so close to the other people. All right, a taste of Mexico is the menu because we were in the port in Cozumel today. We got Caesar salad, shrimp cocktail, roasted poblano soup, tortilla soup, sweet corn cakes, escargot. Now some of the stuff is there every night, some of it does change on up. Chili lime crusted salmon, pulled pork enchilada, chicken, carne asada, spaghetti bolognese, and then it looks like a vegan option there. Some stuff you gotta pay extra for, and then dessert. Dinner service does begin with bread every single night. Now some of the bread is the same, some of it is different. Tonight's specialty is they got a pumpkin seed roll. Interesting. But Molly, those are your favorite.
The cheese bread.
The soft cheese rolls. They're
so good.
Yeah. The appetizers have arrived. I got something I don't think I've ever had before. I don't know if I'll like it or not. These are sweet corn cakes. And then Molly got a tortilla soup. The entrees have arrived, and I got the carne asada. Smells really good. Molly, you got a hearty entree there. That is a pulled pork enchilada.
It is massive.
For the dessert, I got a tres leches cake, and Molly got a warm apple crumble. On deck 5, you'll find one of the most popular spots on board the ship, and that is Casino Royale. Not the biggest casino, but it's also not the biggest cruise ship. And it's been very, very popular. Pretty much every time it's been open, like especially in the evening, I think every table game was taken yesterday, and a lot of the slot machines were as well. Molly, what are some of the table games you can find here on the ship?
Ultimate Texas Hold'em, blackjack, 3-card poker, roulette, craps, and single deck blackjack.
All right. You can't have a casino without a casino bar, and I think it's the only place that plays sports on a normal occurrence here on board. And you can tell it's an older ship as they have some baseballs from different teams, including the Montreal Expos.
Didn't know what that was.
No, I can't get the focus there. There it is. Now the casino, it is a smoking casino, and it does get smoky from time to time. One thing I like, these are my games of choice, like the video poker, video blackjack machines, and they're right by the entrance, and it's actually a no smoking area. And it's got this really cool glass floor with these fish. If you go to the back of the ship on deck 10, you get the wonderful aft views, and this is also where you'll find the rock wall on board. Probably get some awesome views from the top. And one thing I like, they do different like competitions, like there was a speed climbing competition one day, and then one I've never seen before, they did a blindfold competition. I don't think I would be good at any of these. On deck 10, above the pool deck, this blue path here, that is the jogging trail. It's actually one of the bigger ones I've seen on a cruise ship. It's the size of like a full track.
Yeah.
So 4 laps is 1 mile. Up on deck 10, you will find a pickleball court, and there's some other activities up here as well. There's been an archery thing yesterday, and then today there's a football competition of some type. On deck 10, you get a cruise ship classic, the shuffleboard court, located like right in the back of the ship. So you get some great views, but if it's a hot day, you're gonna feel that heat.
And they've had shuffleboard competitions.
Yeah. Located on deck 6, just off the main atrium, is Cafe Latitudes, which is the coffee shop on board. Now, I believe the coffee shop here, it is included, if you have the beverage package, then it would include kind of your fancy coffees. So I think it's made with Starbucks ingredients. Now, I'm not really a coffee person, but I am somebody that loves that beverage package. And you know what really helps? Having some Powerades before bed, some Powerades in the morning.
They also have upcharge ice cream here.
Yes, they do. Now, that's not the only thing that is in this area of the cruise ship. You also have the internet help desk, or computers you can use if you have that internet package. I guess the computers are only really helpful if you like broke your phone or something. And there's also where you'll find the library on board, where you could take out some board games or read some books. And just like we do on every single cruise ship we go on, we take Hyde's book, Experience the Point, the unofficial guidebook to Cedar Point, written all the way back in 2007. And we leave it on the ship, so come and find Hyde's book. Also worth noting, at Cafe Latitudes, while the ice cream may be an upcharge, they do have snacks and desserts and cookies that are included with the cost of your cruise. Right by the coffee shop, you also get this interesting piece of artwork. It's kind of fun to sit nearby because it does freak people out as they walk by, especially if they've had a couple drinks. We're currently on deck 5, and I really like whenever a cruise ship has something like this. They have a deck where you can just sort of hang out outside. Especially sailing today has been a little on the rougher side, so it's nice to go out and get some fresh air. See that? Pretty nice temperature outside. The sky is nice and pretty as well. This might be one of the most relaxing places on the ship. It's quiet. You do have these loungers, so you can hang out here with your beverage and just take in the ocean views below the lifeboats. As you can see, the ship is moving quite a bit. You can't go all the way to the front of the ship on the outdoor decks. That is a crew-only area. And while you can't go all the way forward on the cruise ship, the outdoor section does go all the way aft, and it's actually much more exposed than on a lot of these outdoor decks, so you get some beautiful, beautiful views.
Very open.
Yeah. I always feel like the aft view of the ship is like one of the coolest parts, especially on a beautiful sea day like we have today. On the Enchantment of the Seas, there is only one upcharge restaurant. It is Chop's Grille. It is located on deck 6, right next to the main atrium. And we were actually dining here for lunch. We were able to find a pretty good deal. I think it cost us around like $19 each buying on the Royal Caribbean website. Now, prices do fluctuate, so if you keep your eye on it, you can normally try and find some pretty decent prices, at least for lunch. And here is the menu at lunch. There's a mushroom soup, colossal shrimp cocktail, beef carpaccio, wedge, filet mignon, chicken, salmon, a burger, steak salad, Caesar salad. That right there is probably my favorite thing, those Gruyere cheese tater tots, french fries, asparagus, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, key lime meringue pie, warm chocolate cake, and red velvet. We did get a window table so you can see the seas. And then lunch service begins with a bread course. And this is good looking bread. It is pretzel bread and then onion bread. And fancy butter. I really enjoyed both of the bread courses. Both the pretzel and the onion, they were fantastic.
They were.
For the appetizer, Molly got the shrimp cocktail and I got the charred beef carpaccio. The main course has arrived. We both got the filet mignon. I got mine medium rare, and then you get the choice of 2 different sauces, a red wine reduction or a peppercorn. I went for both. And the sides, two kind of like shareable sides for the table. Me and Molly both love these guys right here. Those are Gruyere cheese tater tots, and they're fantastic. Also got some french fries and some really good looking mac and cheese. Dessert has arrived. I got the red velvet cake. And then look at Molly's sky-high key lime pie. On deck 10 in the front of the ship, that's where you'll find the kids club on board. You've got Adventure Ocean, I think those are the middle-aged children. There is a Royals Babies and Tots area for a nursery, and also a Fuel Teen Club. Now, we can't really show anything else, but there is a video arcade up here. Let's go check that out. And some kind of cool artwork. Look at that. I do like the entrance hallway to get to the arcade. Now the arcade on this ship, well, it is not one of the larger ones you'll find on a cruise ship.
I think it's the smallest one ever.
Yeah. This is it. You got a couple of claw machines. You got a very loud game. Stacker. The loud game does look very fun. You can try and win a duck or a Funko Pop, or you could play on a motorcycle. I will say, not bad prices. Like the motorcycle game, $1.50.
Yeah, not bad.
On deck 9 in the front of the ship, you'll find the Windjammer buffet, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm going to go show you what dinner is like. Very important to note, if you go to the starboard side or the right side of the ship, closest to the pool, they do have a spur buffet in here. So during the very busy meals, like
breakfast or lunch.
Yeah, this will have food in it, so you don't have to wait in some of the chaos. And probably more seating over here. So we should start at the most logical place, dessert, and they have a chocolate fountain this evening. So you can like get any of these wonderful things, muffins, brownies, oh my goodness, cream puffs, and then put them into the chocolate fountain. And here's some of the other desserts, a sweet potato pie, not a me thing. Over here, the very chocolate brownie. Those look wonderful. I also like a pineapple upside down cake. And then
Can't go wrong with cookies.
more desserts, you got the royal cheesecake. They're little tiny cheesecakes. And then a chocolate cake, a peach trifle. These look good. Look at these tiny royal chocolate cakes. There is a soup and bread station. So tonight it's Caribbean pepper pot soup, lentil soup. What are the breads? Breadsticks are always good. Rye bread, sourdough roll, focaccia.
Cheese rolls, my favorite.
Yeah, the soft cheese rolls are so good. And then over here, there's also a couple of drink stations at the buffet. So you can get your coffee. During the morning, this machine will have juices in it. And then obviously right now, it'll have like lemonade and iced tea. Now, if you're on that beverage track, most like myself, they don't really have a full bar here in the buffet, but they do have this man here who's serving beer and wine for lunch and dinner.
It's a good use of space.
Yes, in the morning it's like mimosas and Bloody Marys. Now, here's something I was not expecting to see on the buffet. There's a selection of juices: beetroot, cucumber, and carrot. Jamaican chicken wrap. Tonight is Caribbean night, I believe. Cocoa bread or Jamaican chicken or beef patties. And then some of the desserts. Molly, what is a gazzardo?
I have no idea, but that's a rum cake.
Ooh, rum cake. All right, there's a selection of cheeses. There is some veggies and dressing. Pasta, we got a baked pasta. It contains pork, plain spaghetti with onion sauce, mashed potatoes and gravy, collard greens.
The grilled salmon looks great.
That does look really good. A buttered cauliflower, grilled steak with peppercorn sauce, and a baked potato. And for your baked potato, they have bacon bits, scallions, sour cream, and mozzarella cheese. With it being Caribbean night, no surprise, pork leg is on the carving station. And they got veggies and applesauce. There is a selection of fruits as well, including some like very fancy looking carved fruits. You can get a Caribbean chicken salad, a Caesar salad, or a build your own salad. Not with the other desserts is a grilled bread pudding. It smells amazing. Kung Pao chicken, vegetable fried rice, French fries. Oh, look how good the chicken tenders look. Mac and cheese
looks good too.
Hot dogs. There's always a burger of the day. Today has grilled jalapeno on it.
And then toppings for your burgers.
More Caribbean treats over here. We got rice and beans, braised oxtail, fish escabeche sauce, and fried dumplings. There is fried plantains, jerk chicken and jerk sauce, steamed rice, steamed yuca, Caribbean curry goat, and then banana bread and something called buller bread. Let's wrap things up here with one final section. There's garlic roasted eggplant, artichoke crepes. Interesting dish there. Roasted sweet potatoes. I believe we're now in an Indian section, so we got chicken korma, vegetable curry, roti basmati rice, papadam, and then a selection of antipasto. It is kind of odd when you think of like the modern cruise ships, because this buffet is in the front of the ship. A lot of windows, so it does get pretty hot. Also, it is normally pretty busy if you come with like the peak meals, like sea day lunch or for breakfast. But I think the food quality that I've had here has been pretty good. On the pool deck right outside the buffet, on the right side of the ship, they do have the soft serve ice cream machine. Right outside the Windjammer buffet, you do have a really nice ship model, but it is not of our ship. This is of the Jewel of the Seas. Pretty sure it's in the same class or a very similar class. Maybe not, because this one does have a water slide. Right now we're on deck 6 in the atrium area, which you'll find the loyalty desk. So if you have any questions about like the Crown and Anchor Society and what kind of perks you get for coming back on Royal Caribbean, they'll be able to answer those there. And then you got the desk for next cruise. So if you want to book a cruise while you're on a cruise with that guy and get some onboard credit, that's where you can go and do it. You do have a model. There's a couple different models of the Enchantment at various locations. This one is interesting because this shows what it looked like before it got lengthened. If you remember those big bridges from the intro up on the pool deck, this is what it looks like before that.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yes, and then you get into the photo gallery and the art gallery area. They're doing an art auction right now, so all the art is over there. But if you wanted to buy some art, you could do that here. And it's also where you buy any of those fancy photos you took on board.
Yeah, that was nice.
In the main atrium area, there are 2 different glass elevators, and I always think it's just fun. Anytime you have a glass elevator, I'm always entertained by a glass elevator ride.
They do get hot.
Yes, they do. Located on deck 5 in the atrium area, you do have some more nuts and bolts kind of things like the shore excursions desk, the guest services decks, along with the port shopping desk. On deck 6 is where you'll find all the shops on board the Enchantment of the Seas, and they have quite a few shops.
There's a lot of shops.
Yeah, starting out with this one over here on the left, and this is going to be looks like all jewelry. A lot of, well, I think more ladies' jewelry.
Yep.
And then they do have some more out on display over here. At various times when the shops are open, they will have sales out on tables, and you can get some good deals too. Like you get a nice sun hat for $10.
Do you know the new sun hat?
Yes, there's water bottles and sandals for $10, and then jewelry for much more than $10.
Yes.
There is Solarium, which is a fragrance store.
I think they also have purses in there too.
Today in the middle area, they do have watches. And I can't afford one of these watches, but I do like looking at them, especially these because they got like Marvel and Star Wars watches.
Yeah, look at the C-3PO watch.
Yeah, that is a really fun watch. They also have watches for Major League Baseball teams. Not my team, but Major League Baseball teams. This store is Marco Polo, and they have a lot of like really fun backpacks.
They do have Yankee hats.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, so you were just talking about how they don't have your watch.
Yeah.
But they have your hat.
Yeah, that's the one I wear. I don't wear the one with the patches on the side though. But yeah, now I get one every year because they run through them very quickly.
They get smelly.
It is nice to see some deals on the cruise ship too. Like these are like ladies cover-up kind of things for the beach, $10, and then a whole bunch of things over here that are 50% off. The port merchant shop is an important one because that is where the duty-free liquor is on board. You know, rum, tequila, vodka, all different prices. One thing when you buy on board a cruise ship, normally you get 1 liter bottles, so it's much bigger than the bottles you would get at a Total Wine or your liquor store back home.
So you have to think about that with the prices.
Yeah. Personally for me, there's nothing I'm going to jump at in here and buy. And I like coming in stores like this and just looking at stuff like, oh man, the $700 bottle of John Walker King George. Good to know. This is also where you buy your sundries, so if you forget anything, you can buy it in here, like your medicine and stuff like that. Looks like there is a second jewelry store with more fanciness. It's a nice smell in here. The shop named The Shop is where you go to get all your Royal Caribbean and Enchantment of the Seas logo merchandise. Let's go check out the merch. More sales when you first walk in on a variety of different things. The water bottles are pretty cool.
Those are?
Then a lot of people do buy the lanyards to hold your key card in. There's a section for drinkware and really high quality drinkware.
Yeah, I really like this coffee cup looking one.
You got tote bags and towels.
I like how they have a hoodie with Enchantment of the Seas on it.
Yeah, and then some of these over here are nice too. Like, are those rash guards?
Yes.
Nice. Oh, look at that. Royal Caribbean water shoes, which, you know, you might need for that excursion. Yeah, a lot of really, really nice quality merchandise.
Yeah, look at the
Spirit jersey.
Spirit.
And you can't have one of these stores without t-shirts. I've seen a lot of people wearing them around the ship.
Yeah.
They do sell the cruise ship model. So if you want to put this up on your shelf to remember your vacation. One thing Molly and I collect on every cruise ship we go on is the cruise ship ornament. But I don't think they have one here on the Enchantment of the Seas. But they do have a keychain that you could, you know, if you little intuition, you could turn that into a Christmas ornament.
Which we have.
We do. We have been on the ship once. It was about 10 years ago. I believe it's the second cruise ship tour we've ever done on this channel. Don't go back and watch it. The quality is horrendous.
Terrible. Terrible.
They do some merchandise for the kiddos, so you can get teddy bears, a 3D cruise ship puzzle. Now that is just a generic Royal Caribbean ship. It's not distinctly this one. I do like the Captain's Shades or the Royal Caribbean pullback toy. And last but certainly not least, we do have our stateroom cabin. We're in 7045, which is an interior cabin. And I think it's actually a pretty good sized cabin. A really big, comfortable bed. I feel like there's a decent amount of room here for an inside cabin.
It's kind of an awkward setup.
Yeah, there's plenty of storage. TV. There's a couple of movie channels, a couple other TV channels, but you probably don't want to spend too much time watching the TV. Desk or vanity area.
Lots and lots of storage.
Yeah, especially for a ship that's mostly doing like 4 and 5 nights right now. Got a good sized closet. Chair over here in the corner. And then everyone's favorite part, the bathroom experience. Not a great bathroom. I hate the shower curtain, and the shower is very, very small. You do have some storage in the bathroom section, as well as a toilet that, well, this noise, it sounds like the toilet's dying. And there we go. That'll do it for the tour section of the Enchantment of the Seas. Let's get into our review. And first off, some practical information. This cruise did cost about $385 per person, and that did include the taxes and fees. So actually, as far as Royal Caribbean goes nowadays, it's gotten pretty expensive. It's actually one of the cheaper Royal Caribbean cruises you could find. Now, like any vacation, there's going to be parts you like, parts you didn't like so much. Let's start off with the good.
I really liked how the activities were really unique on this ship. They had an egg drop competition that I've never seen before. They had RC racing that I've never seen before. They had a duck scavenger hunt, though I wouldn't call it a duck scavenger hunt, but it was finding officers, and they had stamps that were shaped like ducks.
Yeah, I really liked that egg drop contest. That was pretty fun. You had to sign up in advance, and then you had to build a device, like kind of like a parachute-based device, finding things on the cruise ship to use to drop an egg from the 9th floor to the 4th floor in the atrium. We made one out of a Foster's can. We did pretty well. It survived the drop. While there weren't any deck parties, there was a big atrium party 3 out of the 4 nights, and one time it was a silent disco, and this was like one of the best silent discos I've ever experienced. It was a lot of more modern music, and a lot of times on Royal Caribbean, the cruise ship, the entertainment will skew to an older demographic. Not this one. This definitely, even I think, skewed younger than myself. I'm not a spring chicken, turned 40 this past month, but yeah, I loved it. I had a blast at that silent disco.
I really enjoyed the location. It went to Cozumel. Cozumel is great. It's a great port. It's just a fun port, a lot of things to do.
Yeah, we went to Paradise Beach, which was an all-inclusive beach club. So got to hang out, relax, enjoy beverages, really good food, good service. And I got to see wild coatimundis. I'm a big fan of animals, and getting to see this really cool, adorable little cute-nosed animal in just looking around, begging for food. I love that.
I really liked the bartenders were excellent. You got to know them on a smaller ship. You get to know your crew a lot better. Mm-hmm. Francisco was great, and we'll go over staff shout-outs.
Yeah, I agree. The bar staff was good. Also, with it being a smaller ship, sometimes there were lines like by the pool bars, but generally in most of the bars and lounges inside of the ship itself, you never really have to wait for a drink, and I thought that was really good. Lots of pools on the ship, and that's a good thing. There's 2 pools in the main pool deck, and then that one adults-only Solarium pool, which again, when you have a ship with not that many people on it, especially compared to something like the Icon of the Seas, having all those pools, you get some space, which is nice. They did an auction for Make-A-Wish. I guess it's April's Make-A-Wish month. And so one day before the show, the cruise director came out and she did an auction off like interesting things, like, behind the scenes tour of the theater, or okay, the big one was like you get to blow the ship's horn as we're leaving port. And that was pretty cool that they did these kind of auctions for what is a wonderful, wonderful organization.
And I really enjoyed the mozzarella sticks in the main dining room.
Yeah, there were some pretty good food items. I think food on this ship, again, that's another thing I did enjoy quite a bit. I thought the food was pretty good quality, and I could eat those little beef sandwiches from the Solarium Cafe for lunch every single day. Now, that was the parts we liked about this cruise. There was also parts we did not like as much. And number one, with a bullet, easy, the biggest problem with this ship, there were tons and tons and tons of kids. I think if you have kids, you don't mind seeing kids on a cruise ship. If you don't have kids, you don't want to see kids on a cruise ship.
My thing is they weren't well behaved. There's not much to do. There's not a lot of bells and whistles on the ship. So therefore, kids get bored. There's only kids club and that's it. And the parents want to have drinks. And that's the problem right there. There's not the best parenting. A lot of kids running around. We were watching the party band at one time, and during one set, kids unplugged their equipment not once, not twice, but 3 times by playing on the stage and running up to the stage, which is very unacceptable. There was a lot of kids everywhere.
And pretty much at any given time, you could walk by the atrium lobby, and there were just kids running around causing chaos because they don't have any playgrounds. The ship doesn't have water slides. For kids, I don't think it's a great ship, and as a result, you just kind of get chaos. I think they did a pretty good job with like kids' activities and like family-friendly activities, but I just don't think it was enough, at least for the number of kids that were on there.
There was about 400 kids on board. I think it was 440, they said.
Yeah, and then like 2,000 adults, so that's a lot for a ship. It is. We did get some rough seas on the sailing, and when you are on a smaller ship, you are more apt to feel the ocean more, and the seas were pretty rough. I think 3 out of the 4 days the ship was moving quite a bit.
It is an older ship, and it definitely feels older. It doesn't have the bells and whistles. As the ship was moving, it was like making creaking sounds. The furniture was a little dated.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, we were recently on the Norwegian Gem, which is a pretty old ship as well. But that, when it got a dry dock refurbishment, they went through and they replaced like all the old fixtures and all the old carpeting and all the old furniture. This ship, I feel like they've done none of that. It is a ship that's either late 90s, early 2000s, and it feels it.
They didn't have a working Jumbotron at the pool, so there was no outside movies. And in doing so, they didn't have any deck parties as well. So I think that was probably the reason why they skewed away from the deck parties. There was no Jumbotron, but that definitely hurt.
There was a Jumbotron. It just doesn't work. I would also say, like, for me, I'm a big fan of sports. The weekend we were sailing is during the NCAA Final Four. They did not get those games. We wanted to watch and check the scores of the Final Four games, so we walked over to the casino bar, which is the only one that has, like, TVs. And nope, there was just a whole bunch of people gathering around watching the game on laptops and phones for those that brought the streaming internet package. So if you're a big fan of sports and you're going during a sports weekend, this is not going to be the ship for you. I would assume they would get like the Super Bowl, probably. But again, like if that Jumbotron doesn't work, where are you watching the game at? Maybe the theater? I don't know.
For me, the shower was probably the worst part of this cruise. The shower was very tiny. It was a curtain. And the way that the shower head was pointed, you either had a shower in the corner of the little tiny shower or it got everywhere. The curtain wasn't big enough either to like stick to the walls so it would breeze with the movement and everything. Water got all over the floor. Worst shower ever.
I will say it did have very good shower pressure to it, though. So if you like went to the beach and you got any sand on you, this thing was going to get it off. It just might then take that sand and throw it onto the mirror. All right. So one thing, Molly, you were talking about how it was a small ship and you get to know the staff better. So we do have some staff shout outs for some of our favorite members of the crew, Francisco and Anthony at the Schooner Bar.
Yes.
I almost said Alchemy Bar. That is a different cruise line. Mr. Paul, who worked the Atrium Bar, he made wonderful drinks. I was drinking some chocolate martinis, then I had him put some Chambord in there to make like a chocolate raspberry martini.
They also, all three knew us by name, greeted us, asked us how our day was. It was great.
Yes, indeed. Our waitress in the main dining room, Miss Nee, she was fantastic. And our stateroom attendant, JJ, was very, very friendly. And there we go. That'll do it for our time on board the Enchantment of the Seas. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments section below. And thank you very much for watching this video.